has been just about 6 years since Lamb of God officially parted ways with Chris Adler, who was a founding member of the band all the way back to the Burn the Priest days in the mid-90s. And in July of 2019, Lamb of God announced that they were officially parting ways with Adler, and they of course hired Art Cruz from Winds of Plague and Prong. He had been filling in for Chris since the year prior, 2018, after Chris's motorcycle accident. But despite basically 6 years now having passed, it feels like only recently have we really begun to learn what exactly led to the band making the decision to move on without him. There was the interview that Chris did with Loaded Radio in early May that really made the rounds. I'll put a link to that down below. And much like the name of that channel, that interview really was loaded with all sorts of info as Chris really opened up about being let go from Lamb of God. He talked about how his mom had passed away, he was going through a divorce, the motorcycle accident. He talked a little bit about his diagnosis of musician's dystonia, which as he explained is a quote neurological condition that controls the movement of any particular body part that basically deteriorates to the point where that motion becomes impossible. So he explained how that led to him struggling with his onstage performance, causing him frustration. He said that he also thought it was frustrating the band as well, and he also mentioned joining Megadeth around that time and how that also contributed to some inner tensions within the band. All sorts of stuff was said, but perhaps the most damning thing of all was when he explained that he was fired from the band that he was a founding member of 25 years ago or so at that point by email. Literally let go from Lamb of God by email. And according to Chris, it was one of those services no longer required type of things, almost as if he was being let go by some HR rep at a big corporate company or something like that. It was really that generic of a situation the way he made it sound, which of course would be tough in any band, but it becomes a million times worse when your brother is also in the band, because of course Chris's brother, Willie Adler, is the guitarist in Lamb of God. So that obviously just makes an already difficult situation that much worse. And we actually did hear from Willie back in 2020, just a little over a year after Lamb of God officially split with Chris. Willie told the Vanflip podcast, I'll put a link to it down below, in September of that year, 2020, that at that time he hadn't spoken to Chris, but he wished him well. But he also did note that Lamb of God is, quote, bigger than any one dude, and that he thinks that they did what was best for the band. But now Blabbermouth has published an excerpt from their upcoming interview with Chris. That is also linked down below. I think the full thing is coming out later this week, where Chris offers a pretty sad update on his relationship with Willie, as he explains that the two have not spoken since he was let go from the band now essentially 6 years ago. Here's what Chris told Blabbermouth. I guess the best way to put it is that I was sideswiped with the whole thing. I wish him all the best, I'm wishing them all the best, and I think about him all the time, but I would say we are estranged. Since that email that I got where he was not even willing to talk to me about it, we haven't spoken. At this point, I've got to work through resentments and regrets and all that stuff. I'm happy where I'm at. I hope he's happy where he is. Everything is cool with me. Now, of course, it should go without saying that there really are three sides to every story, but assuming that this is actually the case and how it all went down, I mean, just wow. I would imagine it's already hard enough being in a band with a sibling or really any family member, but then when stuff like this happens, I mean, yikes, you gotta wonder how tense the Adler family gatherings must be, if they even both attend them, who knows. But elsewhere in that Blabbermouth excerpt, Chris Adler explains again the shock of being let go from Lamb of God, as Blabbermouth noted that it was certainly a surprise to fans, and Chris also touches on the excitement of his new band Firstborn. Here's what he had to say. It was as big of a shock to me. It was. I don't know how to make this work. I wasn't given much of a choice. It was one of those emails, services no longer required. It took a while to dig out of that. I'm happy I did. It could have gone a different way. Today, I'm grateful and happy for where I am. Like I said, my home life is awesome, and I'm looking forward to doing some shows with these guys, having more fun and feeling a lot less pressure. Now, Firstborn, if you're unfamiliar, is Chris's new band that also features the great James Lomenzo. Musically, it is very different than Lamb of God. It's got mostly clean vocals from the songs that I've heard, almost a power metal type of vocal, and a bit old school sounding metal, which is pretty cool. You know, it's cool stuff. I'll put a link to their site down below. It's got a ton of music on it you can check out. And as far as Lamb of God goes, they will be taking part in the upcoming Back to the Beginning event, which is of course Ozzy and Black Sabbath's final show, along with a ton of other bands. It's really essentially a who's who of hard rock and metal bands. And Randy has been very busy promoting his new book, and while there has been talks of a new Lamb of God album, Randy told Blabbermouth in February of this year that the band was not in the studio at that time. And then we heard from bassist John Campbell. He told the RRBG podcast just in February of 2024 that there will be a new album within the next 5 years, so really, who knows how long we'll have to wait for some new music from them. But as far as Chris Adler goes, I mean, certainly I think most fans would love to see him back in the band someday, myself included. But lest we forget or overlook the fact that Art Cruz is certainly a great drummer. He fits the band very well, so major props to him. And more importantly, let's hope that at some point Chris and Willie are able to reconnect and bury the hatchet with each other, because that is certainly a huge bummer. They are brothers. They have not spoke in now 6 years. Hopefully at some point they are able to patch things up and mend fences. But for now, that is all that I got for you. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe below if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time.